stand up, please, and wait for the microphone before. Do stand up, that's fine. Thank you very much.
Merle Lipton from Chatham House in Sussex University. Thank you for a very thoughtful and fascinating talk. But I'd like to challenge your view about sanctions. You said that they did not work in the case of Libya and North Korea. You did not mention South Africa. I would suggest that in the case of Libya and possibly North Korea as well, they have helped to bring those states to the negotiating table. In the case of South Africa, it was more complicated. I think it was constructive engagement, that is, a combination of carrots and sticks, that were among the factors that helped to lead to negotiations in South Africa. Now, President Mbeki says that what he favours is constructive engagement, but such a policy requires sticks as well as carrots. If it is the case that South Africa, for the reasons you have given, cannot use the stick, perhaps the West should do precisely that. Moreover, the sticks that have been applied in the case of Zimbabwe are fairly mild, targeted sanctions on a small group of the elite, and the withholding of some loans from the World Bank, though not humanitarian aid. These are much milder than the sanctions that were used in the case of the other countries we are talking about. So I would agree with you that very active diplomacy is required, but I would suggest to you that pressure, at least by some of the actors, is required as well.
My name is Philip Chikuramakov, and I'm from a Zimbabwean UK-based charity called We Zimbabwe. I just wanted to take you back to the question of South Africa and the mediation process, and you seem to feel that something good might come from there. But from your speech, you also mentioned something which I think is quite crucial to that mediation process, in terms of what the MDC is, how it's constituted at the moment, and you say that it's structurally and in terms of leadership-wise, it's very weak. And also, I think in terms of the disruption that it's suffered on the ground, in terms of how it's able to organize itself as a political opposition, it's actually not capable of bringing people onto the streets or anything like that. And I think those two factors. In the sense that, in terms of mediation, what bargaining power does actually the opposition have, and what is the motivation, or what would be the incentive of Mugabe actually, conceding to anything at this mediation process? And as such, I actually don't believe that the mediation process would actually not bring about anything. Now, I also want to just briefly touch on the whole idea about sanctions, that you say that Zimbabwe is under sanctions. And to a certain extent, I do understand and I agree to what you're saying. But I also think you missed the point. In terms of any financial institution or any business investor wanting to invest in any country would want to actually be guaranteed in terms of property rights, rights to be able to operate in a country freely, etc. And I actually think those factors would have been much more prominent to any financial institutions or any business investors than actually some instruments which are bringing on like quite minor bearings on Zimbabwe. Like quite minor bearings on Zimbabwe.
Jonathan Lawley, Southern Africa Business Forum. I just wonder whether Mugabe really realizes what he's inherited. And the good race relations, the sophisticated economy. The fact that you've got a management class of indigenous people in Zimbabwe. The fact that you've got a management class of indigenous people in Zimbabwe running the mines, for instance, in some ways way ahead of South Africa.